So here's back to just a couple more things, and I want to open it up to you. But back to this passage that I mentioned where Jesus uses this term kairos. The kairos time is here, he says. And there are kind of three words: believe, repent, and follow. Or it's a call to discipleship. So here's what I think our challenge is. I want to encourage us to believe that a soft landing is possible. I want you to believe and cultivate a belief and share it with others that it is not only possible for a nation to transition from empire to something else, but that our real hope is exactly in doing so. Think of what we could do if we freed up the $1 trillion a year that we are squandering on unnecessary, counterproductive warfare and weapons production. Think of what we could do if we decided to join the community of nations and say that climate change is the #1 threat facing humanity. And we're going to devote the same level of resources that we've been devoting to war and war preparation to making the planet inhabitable for future generations. Think of the goodwill and the possibilities that would be unleashed if we had an administration who one of its first acts was to call the international community together with an immediate goal to reduce military spending worldwide by 50%. And given the fact that we spend as a nation half of the world's military spending, we would have tremendous credibility, right? I want you to think about, is it possible that we can address peak oil and address climate change and improve the quality of our lives? Now, I just want to let's let that question sit there for a minute. Do you believe that it's possible for us to address climate change, address peak oil, and actually enhance the quality of our lives? If your answer is no, then talk to me. Because I do think the answer is yes. But it's barely a yes. It's a yes if we do X, Y, and Z. It's a yes if we, in fact, devote resources to wind power and solar. If we're willing to take mass transit rather than private automobiles. If we're willing to challenge the power of the oil industry. If we're willing to stop the nuclear power industry and the coal industry in their tracks and in fact move in a renewable direction, then my answer is yes. If we decide in a state that is in the midst of an enormous self-imposed financial crisis rooted in greed, that we were going to have public policies that prioritize education and health care and a fair tax system, that we utilized our resources in ways to improve quality of life, then the answer is absolutely yes. Or at least yes. So I want us thinking about our responsibility as church, as community, in our workplace, in our vocational lives, in our political lives, for laying out a vision for our country and being willing to honestly say that the greatest challenges we face now are to gracefully embrace a different role for our country in the world and to see opportunities there and to say that we are going to be willing to listen to the climate scientists. And I haven't said much specific, but if you want an update on that, I talked about that I think the last time I was here. I'll be glad to give it to you. The situation has gotten more urgent, not less, to act on the climate front. But this is what Jesus, in this case, I think invites us to do, is to take this Kairos moment seriously. Believe that an alternative future is possible. Believe that our actions will impact that future. And then share that vision with others. Change course. That's what repent means. Change direction in terms of our actual lives and policies. And then be willing to be part of a movement and building that movement that we need for change. That, in a nutshell, is my understanding of where we are and what it would mean for us to be faithful people. I'll stop there. Well, here...
What would you suggest that man do?
What I would suggest that he does in relation to both of those things. The first is the United States should commit itself to pulling out all troops, all mercenaries, within a 6 to 9 month period. At the same time that we're doing that, we should be engaged in... Is this on? Can you hear me okay? Okay, that we should be engaging Iraq's neighbors, Iraqi factions, in conversations about what that means. But the United States, the occupation has not gone well. It is not going well. It is not going to go well as long as we continue with the idea that we're going to keep... Obama is talking about leaving 40, 50, 60,000 troops in Iraq as part of his withdrawal. That's not going to improve the situation in Iraq, and it's certainly not going to improve the situation in terms of the problems that we face. And in Afghanistan, I mean, if you want to lessen the threats of terrorism, then don't illegally occupy other countries. What's fueling the anti-American hatred around the world are really a couple of things. Certainly the invasion of Iraq didn't help. Our one-sided policy towards Israel doesn't help. That's another huge one that Barack Obama could chart a different course if he has the courage. And deepening the war in Afghanistan would be exactly the wrong thing to do. So, again, part of it is engaging all the neighbors, India, Pakistan, Iran, others, to address Afghanistan. But backing a corrupt government and then militarizing things largely in ways that increase civilian casualties has made, it's made Afghanistan a disaster. And more troops will not improve that. So the United States should be accelerating its troop withdrawals from Afghanistan at the same time that we encourage negotiations on a variety of fronts.